Good afternoon and welcome. We're so excited that you could be here today and that we could give you all a first look at the redesign of UI eServices for employers. The redesign comes as part of our year-long effort to modernize our unemployment insurance IT systems by pulling in our benefit system in with our tax system. Just a couple of housekeeping items before we get started. The webinar is being recorded and will be available on our website in a day or two. You can access it by going to uieservices.mt.gov and clicking either the frequently asked questions link or handbooks, forms, and more. At this time, we do have everyone muted. If you have questions throughout the presentation, please feel free to enter them into the Q&A chat and we'll get them answered as quickly as possible. At the end of the presentation, there will be time for open questions. Please just raise your hand and we'll open it up for you to ask any questions that you may have. With that, we will go ahead and get started. My name is Karina Benjamin, and I am the UI Contributions Bureau Chief. And I'm so excited that we can bring this webinar to you guys today and to kind of give you a quick sneak peek into what UI Services is going to look at like come October 2nd. We're really excited about some of the changes that we're bringing. What we've been working on, it's a year-long project that is ultimately going to take our UI benefit system and our UI tax system and kind of merge them into one and present a lot of the ability for us to streamline our processes and improve efficiencies across our division and our program. For employers, the biggest thing that you're going to see, and third parties, the biggest changes you're going to see is with UI eServices for employers. We've completely redesigned it. We've made it more mobile friendly. It will work on any device you might have. It should work on it. And it will have a single sign-on through the Okta process, which you may have heard a lot of state agencies are. We have a goal to try to get a single sign-on for all of our services across the state of Montana. So some of you may already be familiar with Okta and have a sign-on for that, and that's great. UI eServices for employers will kind of connect into that. We've built in new options into eServices for things like responding to separations information requests on benefit claims. I know we've had Sidens in the past, but this is a new integrated piece that I think will be very easy to use and help the process out quite a bit. We expanded our web services features. We're bringing back credit card payments. There's just a lot of things. You're going to see all the same great tools that we've had in the past, but just a lot of improvements and ways to manage your UI tax account. As a reminder, we are going live October 2nd. So what April is about to show you is kind of just a preview of some of the changes that you will expect come October 2nd. And again, if you have questions throughout the presentation, please feel free to put them in the Q&A and we'll try to get them answered. And if not, we'll answer some questions at the end. Thanks, everybody. With that, I will turn it over to April, who will start her demo.
Thanks, Karina. Hi, everybody, and welcome to our UI eServices for Employers demo. I'm April Hislop with the UI Contributions, and we're excited today to be demoing the new UI eServices for Employers website, which we believe will make it easier to file quarterly wage reports, respond to benefit claims requests, and maintain your client lists. One thing that I want to let you know is it is the same system. It's just had a major facelift and it has a more modern look. And so some of the added functionality is there to alert you when something needs to be completed. The new site can be used on all types of devices as well. So you'll have the flexibility to use your desktop computer, your tablet, or your phone, allowing you the same experience that you have on any of those devices. Like Karina said, we'll also be using the state of Montana's new secure login platform known as Okta to log into eServices, and we'll demonstrate that in the webinar today. And before starting, I'd like to introduce one of our customer service representatives, Katie Tretton. She'll be helping with the QA today, as well as Karina and some other folks as well. Go ahead, Katie.
Yes, hello, everyone. My name is Katie Tretton, and I'm one of the customer service representatives over here at UIE Services for Employers. I think you all are really going to enjoy this webinar that we have put together for you today. Our new site really does have some great new features for filing those reports and also maintaining the access to your client list as well.
All right, thank you, Katie. Like Karina said, if you have any questions, please go ahead and type those in the Q&A, or if you'd like to ask those questions at the end of the presentation, you can go ahead and raise your hand, and folks can allow you to speak, and they'll be able to answer those questions for you at the end of the webinar. The one really nice thing about UIE services for employers, the facelift that we're having, it's not going to change the website address. So we'll continue going to uieservices.mt.gov for you to be able to log into eServices as well as connect with your new Okta account or an existing Okta account if you have one. The site that I'm using today to give the presentation is a test website. So there are going to be a few differences in this on this test website that you're not going to see in production, such as like the date up here and a few things like that. So if there is just a little bit of a difference, that's exactly what those differences or why those differences are there. The first thing that I want to go over is some of our helpful links that we have on our homepage. Some of you may already be familiar with some of these links because some of you have probably already used some of them, but some of them have changed a little bit, and there's just a few things that I wanted to go over. With this webinar, we are going to be basically touching base on some of the major changes for third-party administrators and things that are or could possibly affect your clients and how you file those quarterly reports and make payments and possibly respond to benefit claims information. And then we're also going to basically focus this on people who have already used this service before. So if you don't have a current weblog on, there will be some data and some videos and some things like that posted closer to go live that will give that information to you. But this is really going to be focused to those folks who have already been using UIE services, so they already have a UIE services weblog on with us. Just kind of wanted to make that clear. In our Employer Tools tab here, or panel here, we have a link to our Employer Handbook. We have a link to the third-party authorization form, and then we also have a link to our guides, forms, and more. The one really nice things about the guides, forms, and more is that's where all of our handbooks are. So that's where you can find our e-filing handbook, our sides formatting handbooks, our fiscal rate exchange handbooks, our authorization forms, our memorandums of understanding. So any of those things that a lot of you may have already been using or may need to go out and get in the future. One wonderful thing about any of you that are using ICESA or FSET to file in bulk, if you're using Excel or CSV file formats to upload directly into UIE services, or if you're participating in the fiscal rate exchange, or you are a broker and you submit a sides client request through UIE services, none of those formats are going to change for you with this new system. So all of those file formats will remain the same. If you are currently using QuickBooks to file your quarterly reports for your clients, so if you're filing the quarterly reports and payments through QuickBooks and you just come out here to do some other things or to maintain the account when they have changes on those, that process will remain the same as well. So you'll still be able to go out there, submit your information through QuickBooks, and they'll be able to send that information to us. And if you're using the web-to-web service, I don't know if any of you on here are using that, but I know that we do set up passwords and usernames for that, or have in the past, and those websites, usernames and passwords will continue to be the same. So it's very nice that none of those formats at this juncture are changing, and at this particular moment, we aren't going to be changing those anytime really soon.
Hey,
And
April,
if
I apologize for interrupting. I'm getting a couple of questions in the chat that people are unable to hear. I am hearing okay, so I didn't know if that was everybody or something on your end. So I guess if someone can pop in here. Okay, there are some people that are hearing fine. So sorry to interrupt, April.
Oh, no, it's okay. I want to make sure that folks can hear us, and I'm glad that it's not everyone. So I'm sorry that some folks are having problems hearing. We will have this recorded, however, so if for some reason you are having issues with being able to hear, being able to see some of the screens, whether it be because of technical difficulties or something like that, we are recording these, and we will have those posted out there on the help website, so you would be able to see those. And we will have some additional videos as well as far as the Okta and eServices connections are concerned. So hopefully that will help you as well, and you can always give us a call. Our helpline is 444-3834, and you can always give us a call if you're having any kinds of issues as well. The next thing that I wanted to mention is the third-party authorization form. With the new, I keep saying new, but it is the same system, with the improved, I guess, eServices, we do have a few different access levels for your clients to fill out on that authorization form. So they've changed a little bit. They're very similar, but the verbiage has changed a little bit. And so we do have a new third-party authorization form that will be posted on our website, and we'll have that up the week of October 2nd, or the weekend. You don't have to submit any new authorization forms for any of the clients that you've submitted authorization forms in the past. We will continue to maintain those authorization forms until you let us know, or the client lets us know that they're no longer a client. But going forward, if you have been filling out authorization forms, if you could please use the new forms, because there is a few differences out there on it, just because there are some changes within UIE services. If you are currently submitting the IRS 8655 to get just access to UIE services, you can continue to submit those or the third-party authorization form, whichever your client has available. If for some reason we can't accept that, we will certainly let you know when we receive that from you. The second panel that I wanted to point out is our UI resources panel here. We have a link to the Montana homepage. We have a link to report unemployment insurance fraud. Unfortunately, we do know that fraud is an issue. And so if you do believe that someone is committing any kind of a fraudulent act, whether it be as an employer or as a claimant, please go ahead and click that link, and there's a form you can fill out to report that to us. We have a link for our quarterly newsletters. We still are producing those quarterly newsletters each quarter and posting those out on our website. And so anytime that you want to, you can go out there and read those. You can also see any of the prior quarterly newsletters that we have out there as well. And then we have our View Frequently Asked Questions website. Currently, this FAQ website, it is the same one that's on our main UIE services webpage. That is where the webinars are going to be posted, where some of the videos are going to be posted. And then any questions that for some reason we may not be able to answer at the end of this presentation, if we can't find that answer, we will definitely take that back with us. We will find an answer for you, and we will post it on the Frequently Asked Questions website so that you can see those in the future. Being that we kind of talked a little bit about fraud, this really is a good time just to mention the security and certain things that you can do to keep the web logons that you have established for your employees or for yourself a little bit more secure. I know that you've heard this a million times because you hear it from us, you hear it from other people. Unfortunately, there are just so many fraudulent folks out there who are just not doing us any favors, for sure, that we do have to kind of try to be as secure as we can with any of these websites that we're using, especially because we do have social security numbers out there for individuals. So I just wanted to let you know that it is a 1-to-1 ratio for the Okta and the eServices, and we do usually request that you don't share those passwords or usernames, that each of the employees that you have that need a web logon, that they please create their own web logon and log into it themselves instead of sharing one throughout the office. We can have as many logons as you need or want. So we currently have an account that has probably 50 plus, and we've never run into a problem where there are too many web logons. So we can always have as many as you need. If you need one for every person in your office, we can accommodate that. And then finally, it really is just to protect you, your clients, their employees, and of course us, just because unfortunately there are some bad guys out there who are just trying to do damage to to people by stealing their personal information. So I just wanted to throw that out there. With that, I'm going to go ahead and start moving into UI eServices. The one thing that I can tell you that I hope you'll be very happy about, I know we were really happy they could do this, is all of your clients and any of their banking information, if you have those individual clients attached to your web login in UI eServices, that information will come over as well as their banking information. So you're not going to have to reattach all those clients. You're not going to have to re-enter all that banking information. That information is going to come over when you log into your UI eServices account when you connect that with Okta. So I was very happy they were able to do that because I know we haven't always been able to do that in the past. From the website, the first place that you're going to go ahead and click is the Sign In with Okta. And for some reason, it wants to update my information right away. So I apologize for that. I don't know why it's connecting that way, but let me just get out here and try and remedy that really quick. I wanted to be able to show you that log on, but if for some reason we can't do that, I'll still be able to show you most of it, but that was the piece that I really did want to be able to show you. So give it just a second here. I apologize for the delay on that. It wouldn't be a real webinar, I'm sure, if there wasn't a little bit of technical difficulty. That seems to be the way it goes. All right. Okay, there we go. I apologize for that delay. So because we're state workers and we do use other state websites, we are automatically registered for Okta. So our IT group does that for us. If you already have an Okta account, because you can attach it to an existing Okta account if you already have one, basically the box that comes up for you is going to look very similar to this, and it will ask you for your credentials. You'll just enter that information in, you'll click a verify, and that's going to go ahead and take you into UI eServices for you to be able to connect the web logon that you have now to the Okta account that you already have existing. If you don't have an Okta account already, this is the perfect place where you can actually sign up for an Okta account. There will be a little link here at the bottom for you to be able to sign up, and you just go ahead and click that. It will ask you some questions and allow you to set up that Okta account. This process is a one-time thing, so you don't have to do it more than one time. So I'm going to go ahead and sign into my Okta account. And that's going to take us to the screen that just popped up a few seconds ago. So this is the first question that it's going to ask. And like I said, I'm going to move through as if we already have an eServices account, but there will be videos out there if you have a new employee that needs to create a new web logon that will help you if you have any issues when you first log into this. So I'm just going to go ahead and say, yes, I have previously logged into and used UI eServices, and then I'm just going to click next. Then what it's going to do is it's going to ask you for a username and password. Now this username and password is the username and password that you're currently right now using in UI eServices to log in. So you're going to want to make sure that you know what that username and password is. Up until the time that we go live, so through September 27th. If for some reason you don't know what that username and password is, you can call us at the 444-3834 number, and we can verify who you are, and then we can go ahead and update that password for you or help you determine what your username is if you don't know what that is. After that time frame, after we go live with the new service, so at the time that you're doing this, we only have two options to reset that password, basically. Well, I should say one option. We have this forgot username or password. If you don't know what your username or your password is, you can click on this. It will have you enter some security information, and then it can go ahead and send an email to you that will go ahead and give that information to you. If for some reason you don't know the security answers to the questions that are being asked, at that point, we no longer have the opportunity or the access to be able to change your passwords because it's being connected directly through Okta. So after we go live on October 2nd, moving forward, well, technically after September 27th. Moving forward, we will not have the access to reset your password. So you will have to contact the Okta support folks. And we do have a slide at the end that will give you that phone number and that web address, but I know it's all over the Okta website as well if you forget that information. So I'm going to go ahead and type in my username and password that I have in here. And I'm going to go ahead and click next. This information for your business role is basically a business role for your business, not your client's business. So you'll want to choose the best role that fits for you. I think most of these options are pretty self-explanatory, so I'm not going to go over each of them, but for the purpose of this demo, I'm going to choose the top one that just says I'm an owner, officer, or partner. And then I'm just going to go ahead and click next. What this is here is this is a summary of the information that we have on file for you for this web logon that is already existing. So it's going to give my name, my username, my email address, and the phone number that's connected to that. If any of this information is incorrect, once you're able to log into UIE services, once that connection is made between us and Okta, then you can go out there and you can change that information. So we aren't connecting through that email address or particular username. So you are allowed to change those in the future. So then I'm just going to go ahead and submit this. It's going to go ahead and give me a confirmation page. You can print this confirmation page if you want to, or you can just click login now. What that is going to do is that's going to automatically take you into my eServices dashboard where I'm going to be able to see my clients. I'm going to stop right here just because I kind of want to show you what it looks like if you've already succeeded in connecting your Okta account with your eServices account, and now you are just going to be logging in after that fact. So I'm just going to go ahead and log off right now. And then I'm going to go ahead and log back in. So I'm just going to click sign in with Okta. It's going to have me put my credentials out there again, if I can type them correctly. And that's going to take us directly to our dashboard. So once you have that initial connection, it's a one-time thing. Then after that is going to just take you directly into your eServices dashboard. So you'll continually start at your uieservices.mt.gov, just like you normally would. You'll click Okta, you'll be able to put your Okta credentials in, and then it's going to take you directly into the website after that first time. Again, if you have any questions on this, I know it is a little bit different. Please be sure to go ahead and put that information in the chat, or we can answer those questions at the end of the presentation. A couple things that I did forget and I did leave out is some of the helpful links that we do have throughout UIE services, not only on the homepage, but also throughout on all of the UIE services pages. We do have links to the Department of Labor and Industry website here. We do have a link to our FAQs, a contact page if you need to contact us. We have our help page, and then we have this request support ID. I don't know how many of you in the past have used this request support ID, but it is available here as well as under this question mark here. You can also get a support ID. What that support ID is used for is if you are having difficulty with something within UIE services and you do need assistance, you can get a support ID and then you can go ahead and give us a call. And what that allows us to do is kind of look directly at the sessions and where you're having the issues so that we can better help you figure out what is causing the problems, so that we can help you move forward through any of those issues that you're having. So I just wanted to point that out since I did forget to talk about that on the home page. On your dashboard, what you're going to see is this all tab. And what this all tab is this shows all of the clients that you currently have attached to your web logon, as well as your own account. So if you are a third-party filer, regardless of whether you have a UI account in Montana or not, your business is going to show in this all list as well. Most of the options are not going to require you to go directly into your account. Most of the information that you may need is up here, or it's specifically in a client. But if you are a third-party filer and you file your own unemployment insurance information through eServices as well, then that information will be available to you in this list. Now there are filters to kind of help filter some of these things. So if you want to type some information into that filter, you can do that, and that will filter the information that is out on this, this dashboard. There's a favorites tab here. Currently, I don't have any favorites, but if you have somebody that you work with all the time, or you want your business to be favorited and all of your clients to just be in this main list, all that you have to do to favorite one of your clients is you're just going to click the little star next to add to favorites. And now when we go to the favorites tab, you can actually see that this company is on my favorites tab. So if you have a client maybe that you just go out to a lot, or something like that, then you can certainly favorite them. If you'd like to remove the favorites, you can always go ahead and click the little star, and that's going to take it off of your favorites list. Now, just because you put it on your favorites list does not remove it from this all list. So if I go ahead and put autumn accounting on here, I can see it on my favorites list, but then I can also see it on my all list as well. The favorites list also has a filter, so if you have numerous companies that you've favorited, you can always use that filter as well to filter down the results of what you want to see. And then we have this recents tab. So the recents tab will pop up and show you any recent activity, or excuse me, any recent client that you've currently worked with. And again, there's also a filter on this for you to be able to use that. The third thing that we have here is the Action Center for third-party filers where you have individual clients attached to your WebLogon. This could possibly be a little bit intimidating, I guess you could say, simply because it's going to show you any action items that you have available for any of your clients, including your own company. So this could be web messages that need to be viewed, letters that need to be viewed, quarterly reports that need to be filed, things of that nature. The really nice thing is this is just a bulk overview of all of your clients. When you get into the individual client, there's also an action center, so you can specifically look at whatever is needed for that client. Because obviously, you know, it's the last month of the quarter, you're out there filing reports. There's going to be, you know, you have 200 clients. There's going to be, you know, an action center item for each of those reports that need to be filed. However, you can see that directly in each client if you go into each one. So that is a nice feature. You can also sort this if you want to. If you want to kind of see, okay, how many quarterly reports do I have left for any of the clients I have attached to my list? And you can kind of section this down to where you can have letters that need to be read, messages, or returns that need to be filed. And that's going to just show all that information out here for you. So there is some filtering capabilities, and you can also use this while typing some stuff in here too, so you can see, okay, for autumn accounting, I need to file a Q3 report. Then I'm going to move into our bulk filing tab. For any of you that are using this bulk filing tab, basically the options are very similar to what you already have. The first thing that I'm going to focus on here is our bulk services panel. We have file a book report, which I'm going to do in just a moment. And that request is very much the same. And like I said, the FSET and ISESA file formats are not changing. And so you'll be able to load those same type of formats within your request. We have the sides broker client list for any of our brokers that currently use that. And then we also have request a rate exchange, which is, we used to call it the fiscal rate exchange. We did take the fiscal off of there, but you will see the rate exchange, and that is the same as what you may be running now to get the rates for any of your clients that are out there. And that file format hasn't changed either, nor has that request. It's very similar to what you've used in the past. So I'm going to go out here and click a File Bulk Report. That's going to go out here and take me to this request. We do have a link to our Montana e-filing handbook that'll take you directly to that if you need the specifications for those file formats that we do offer. but it is basically the same as what we had in eServices before. We'll just click Add Attachment because we'll need to go ahead and attach the file that we're going to go ahead and submit. For the purpose of this demo, I'm going to go ahead and use an ISESA file. You'll type a description in your description field here, and then you're going to choose your file. I'm just going to go ahead and choose my file and say OK. And what that's going to do is it's going to attach it to this request. If for some reason you picked the wrong file or you realize you missed something and you need to save it again or something to that effect, you can always click this remove, and that's going to go ahead and remove that file, and you can attach a new one if you want to. And then you can go ahead and click submit. This is the same process that it is currently, so it is an overnight process. So you'll submit that quarterly report today, or that quarterly file today. We'll go ahead and process it tonight, and then you'll be able to log out if you have individual access to your clients, and you'll be able to see that those reports have been loaded onto their accounts. If you don't have individual access to your clients, then on your submissions tab, which I'll show you in a little while, you'll be able to see that that request has been processed. So I'm just going to go ahead and click submit. It is going to go ahead and give you again a confirmation page, and you can go ahead and print that confirmation, or I'm just going to go ahead and click return right now, which is going to go ahead and take me back to this bulk filing springboard. Again, if you have any questions about that, please ask our folks that are out there. The second thing that I wanted to show you is this request employer account access. Some of you have already been using this request. Some of you have not. We are not going to have a fax machine after 5 p.m. on September 27th. We have tried to get the word out there for anyone who is using that fax machine, but unfortunately it is old data and it's just not as secure as it used to be. And so we do have other ways for you to be able to submit that data to us. We have secure web messages, we have requesting employer account access, or if you have a big bulk group that you want us to add all at the same time, you can still go ahead and send those as hard copies through the mail. We'll still accept them that way. So if you want access to your clients, or you want to submit an authorization form online through eServices, if you go ahead and click Request Employer Account Access, this is very familiar to any person who has used this request before, because it is basically the same information that we've asked in the past. All that you do is put the FEIN for the business that you want attached to your web logon. You'll go ahead and put the account number in there. And then we just have our add attachment button where you can go ahead and attach that authorization form to the web logon so that we have the information that we need to be able to do that. We'll just go ahead and say OK once we choose the file that we want to send over. Again, this works just like that bulk filing tab. So you'll have your authorization form attached. If you put the wrong one on there, you can click remove. If everything is good to go, then you can go ahead and click next. That's going to bring you to just a confirmed submission saying, I attest the information is true and I'm authorized to request it. And then you're just going to go ahead and click submit. It's going to go ahead and give you a confirmation page, and you'll click return, and that's going to take you back to the bulk filing. This request works just the way it has in the past, so that information does come over directly to us the same moment that you go ahead and click request. So it is an item that is higher on our work list to be able to complete quickly, just to better serve you and to get that client added to your web logon. There is a little bit of a difference with the way that those logins work. Currently, kind of the way that we have done this is that if you send in a request through an authorization request to add a client to your web logons, we will go ahead and add it to the first one that sends it through their eServices web logon, and then we will add it to any of the web logons that are on your company's account. So if you have 8 employees and there's 8 web logons that are out there, we'll go out there and add it to those 8 employees if you need that added to all of your clients. The biggest difference with the way that we're going to do it now, just to help with the maintenance and so that there is less of a turnaround time, is that once we add a client to your web logon, overnight, what our system is going to do is automatically push all of those clients to every one of the web logons that are out there. Now, I know for some of you that's a little bit of a cause for concern, because I know that some of you have particular clients that you're working with, so that Jane may work with, these 20 clients and Joe may work with these other 20 clients, and they don't have the same 20 clients. I know that some of you are in different areas. So you may have a main office in Helena, but you have branches in Bozeman, Missoula, Kalispell, things like that. So what I'm about to show you is a way that you can maintain that list to be able to take off any clients that you don't want. So anything that's moving over is going to be exactly the way you have it now. So you will have all the clients that you currently have today on your weblog on tomorrow. However, after tomorrow, then anytime a client is added to your agency, it will be pushed to the weblogons on that, connected to that agency. So the way that we can maintain this is we can click this Manage My Profile. There's a lot of stuff that you can see out here in Manage My Profile. This is the area, like I was talking about when we first connected with Okta, where you can go ahead and update your username, your email address, your phone number. If any of that information has changed or if it was incorrect, you can go ahead and change that here. There is an action center, and this action center is particular to the web logon. So if there is a message specifically to this web logon, and it's not for a specific client or for the TPA that you're working for, you may receive some items out here in your action center there. But the main thing that I wanted to show you is this more here. This is the area where you can actually manage the access for a few different things when it comes to logons. So you can click Manage My Access. Now what that'll do is that's going to show you your business as well as any clients that you have attached to you. So the main thing that I wanted to show you here is you can see that here on Monster Mash Mirrors, I have tax only access to this client. If I click tax only, it gives me the option to cancel my access to this account. So what this means is I'm not canceling access for the client for the entire TPA. I'm only canceling the access to my particular account, or my particular access to that client, I guess I should say. So I will go ahead and cancel this. It says, are you sure you want to cancel access to this account? You're going to say okay. Says that it's canceled, and then you can see that it is no longer on your list of clients. So you can do this with any of the ones that are not out there. Now, if you find that you have a client that you're no longer serving, so this client, it's not just that they're not on, that you don't need them on your client list, but they're no longer a client of the TPA that you're working for, then we do need you to go ahead and send us a web message. You can go ahead and give us a call or send us an email at uieservices@mt.gov, and just let us know that this particular company is no longer a client. And that way we can actually just remove not only the eServices access, but if you are receiving any mail for that client, if you're the contact as far as the phone number, if we have any questions, things like that, we can go ahead and remove all of that information from the client's UI account. Now I'm going to go ahead and click Manage My Profile. Oh, the other thing I wanted to let you know, if for some reason you remove someone by accident, or let's say, Jane did have her own clients and I had my own clients, and Jane has either moved on to somewhere else, or, maybe she's on an extended leave of absence, on medical leave or something like that, and you're going to be helping out and taking over those clients for a specified period of time or possibly forever. But you've already removed them, there isn't a way to put them back onto your web logon yourself. unfortunately, it would just push all those clients to you every time that you removed one. And so we do have to add those back manually for any that you've taken off of there. But again, all you have to do, give us a call, please send us a web message or an email. We can go out there and add those clients back on for you anytime that you need. The next thing that I wanted to show you is this manage additional logons. So in eServices currently, we don't have basically what we would call an administrator of the other users on eServices for your particular TPA. In the new eServices or new and improved eServices, what we do have is the opportunity for that. So because we didn't have this function before, what we have done is with the oldest web logon that was still active on the TPA, we have made them an administrator on the account. So if you're an administrator, what you can do is you can come out here. Anyone can see the other web logons that are out here. Only the administrator can actually change anything with those web logons that are out here. So we can see that I have Katie out here as another user for my TPA. I can go ahead and click into Katie, and that's going to give me a couple of different options to actually change her access levels. I can click this change access, and what this does is this basically says, okay, I can make her an administrator because currently she's an account manager. So if I make her an administrator, that will take effect right away. She may have to log in and then log back in. But then that will give her the option to do a few things for business users out here that she cannot as an account manager. I'm not going to change this currently because I want to show you some other options here. So I'm just going to go back to additional logins. Now we have manage account access. If you click into this, what this is this is actually access to your account. So not your clients, but your account. So if you have an employee that has access to your account and you really just don't want them seeing what the other employees are making, or you're not going to have them answering, benefit requests for information or anything like that, you have a few options here. So this all-encompassing uh, screen here, you can go ahead and change this all account manager to an administrator if you want to. You can also change the access level of what the employee has to your account. So they can have tax and benefits, they can choose benefits only, or you can change it to tax only. So you can change the actual security level that they have, or you can cancel access to your account for any of your employees just by clicking that cancel access link. So that's not going to cancel any access to your clients, just to your account. And then if you want to grant access back, you can just click that grant access. It'll ask you the kind of level that you want to be able to give them. You'll just go ahead and say okay, and that's going to go ahead and give them access to your account again. So just a few features that we currently do not have in eServices today. And then finally, we have this deactivate access. So if I click on this, what this is going to do is this is going to deactivate Katie's account with my TPA. So if I have an employee who's moved on and is no longer an employee of mine, and I don't want them to have access to my clients anymore because they're no longer a part of this business, then I can actually deactivate that web logon. So if I say, yes, I want to deactivate that logon, what that does is it severs that UI services connection to their Okta, and they will no longer be able to log into the web login that you have. If you want to reactivate access, which is basically reopening that. So hypothetically, let's say you had an employee that left for a while and perhaps they came back, then you could go ahead and click yes, and that would actually reactivate their access to be able to log back into that UI services account that's attached to your TPA. Hopefully all of that made sense. Please, again, if you have questions about this, please go ahead and put them in the chat, or we can answer questions at the end of the webinar. So just like eServices today, there are a few ways that you can get to a few different places in eServices. So one of the places that I wanted to show you is the search submissions, because you can get this from your My Profile as well. Your search submissions is just going to show you any kind of request that you have submitted through UI eServices. So it will show you your pending requests because these have not been processed yet. They will show you any of your processed requests. So you can see that I've connected to Okta. And then if for some reason you were to delete a request, you would be able to see that as well. So this is TPA specific for your web logon. So it isn't going to show the request for each individual client. I'll show you how you can get into that. You can also view letters. So you can view the letters for your account out here by looking at that. And you can also see the letters for any of your clients as well. And then you can view and send web messages from here as well. I'm going to go back and we'll go ahead and fill out a couple of things for one of your clients. And you'll be able to see how to send a web message from there. So basically any of that functionality that is out there, it's all the same regardless of whether you're in a client or for your web logon, it just may be located in a different area. So I'm going to go ahead and go into Ghostly Gardens here. And I am going to show you, see here, this Action Center is much more manageable. So you can actually see the information that is particular for this client. And this client only, so it's not going to show you everything else. You can also add to your favorites by clicking this star up here if you want them to show on your favorites tab on your login dashboard when you first get in there. It will automatically, what's really nice about this is it's going to automatically on this summary page alert you to anything that is more of an urgent request or things that need to be completed a little bit sooner than some of the other things that are out there. So because of the way that I set up the demo, they had not filed a second quarter 2023 report. And so in the red, it's telling you, okay, this is an urgent employer request. I need you to complete this quarterly report. We have this orange panel, and what this orange panel is going to do is that's going to pop up with any kind of benefit requests that are available for the client. I know that some of you do respond to those benefit requests for information for your clients. Some of you do not. So if you don't have access to benefits, then you wouldn't see this panel. But if you do have access to benefits or you have access to both benefits and tax, then you would see, something like this, both of these panels out there for your client. Then we have the account panel, and this is just kind of an overview of the information, the UI account number, if there's a balance on the account, whether it's owing or whether there's a credit out there. Currently, you can see there's a credit on this particular account. And then there's also some areas for you to be able to go out and view some information on this client, and I'll show you that in just a few minutes. And then we have our employer panel, and that has rates, charges, and it's also a place where you can go out and view determinations as well as any of the benefit requests that have been completed. So you'd be able to see all that information out there. This More tab just gives you a little bit more information, and this is where you would actually be able to view letters specific for this particular client. So it wouldn't be the bulk of all of them, but just the ones for this client. And you can just click into that and that would automatically pop that open and allow you to be able to see the letter for that client. We also have our submissions tab here. And that's going to be particular for this client as well. So once we go out and file a quarterly report, you'd be able to see that information out here. So I am going to go ahead and file the quarterly report that needs to be filed for this customer. So I'm going to go ahead and click File Now. As you can see, all of this is very similar to what you're currently using when you're out there filing a quarterly report for any of your clients. If you do not have any wages to report for the client, you're just going to go ahead and click No to the question, did you pay wages? And it'll allow you to go ahead and submit that none report. For this, I'm going to go ahead and say yes, and I'm going to go ahead and click Next. Again, this information is the same as what you're seeing now. It just looks a little bit different. So now your employee counts are kind of in a panel by itself. We still have the report summary, so it's still going to automatically calculate your gross wages, your excess wages, and your taxable wages based on the information that you add down here in the employee wages detail. It will go ahead and calculate your tax due because it will go ahead and import the taxable wage limit if you can choose that for the client, and it will automatically bring in the total rate as well. We still have our helpful links out here. So we have our Montana e-filing handbook, which will not only give you the specifications for the CSV and Excel file formats that you can import into this screen, but it will also give you some step-by-step instructions on how to file this quarterly report if you need to. The first method that I'm going to show you of entering this information into the system is you can go ahead and data enter this. So you'll go ahead and just enter the information for any of those employees. And again, like I said, it's going to automatically import that information up here into this top panel here. If you find that you do not actually need this employee on here, this little X box right here is going to go ahead and delete employees for you. To add a new employee, you're just going to go right down into the next box. One thing that I will warn you about is there is, I believe it's a 15-minute timeout before it will go ahead and time you out of UI eServices. So if for some reason you are out here adding employees, manually, or you're using the load previous SSNs and you do have a long list, I would go ahead and click this save draft. What this save draft is going to do is that's just going to kind of save it exactly where you're at, and then it's going to allow you to come back and finish it later, just so that you don't lose the work that you've already put in if you've already been adding some of that information out here. We still have the load previous SSNs tab as well. It's just up here instead of being down here. What this will do is this is going to import your social security numbers, first name and last name of any employees that you had in the previous quarter. So if you had a client that did have employees that were reported for the previous quarter, it will automatically import all of the names and SSNs for those folks. If for some reason the previous quarter was a 0 report, then unfortunately it won't import them from the last quarter that had wages reported. It only goes back one quarter to pull those forward. When you have this, again, you just use a little X if one of the folks that have come forward are employees that you no longer have on the payroll for this quarter. You just have to add the wages for each of these employees. And if you need to add an employee, you're just able to do that on the next open box for the employee that you need to add. And again, that's just going to update the information in this panel. Finally, there is Import My File, which gives you the option of choosing either a CSV or an Excel file format. I have an Excel file format for this particular account. You just go ahead and choose your file format, and it's going to go ahead and bring that in. In that file format is included the number of covered employees, which it automatically entered up here. And then it also imported any of my employees that are out here that I had in that file. So it does require an SSN, first name, last name, and wage amount in the file format. For the purposes of this demo, I'm just going to go ahead and add an employee. So you can add anyone if you do forget them, or if you find out that someone shouldn't have been added, of course, you can go ahead and delete them like you have with the other methods. Once everything looks good on here and you're confident that this is correct, then you can just go ahead and click next. And that's going to take you to this confirm submission screen. This is just going to say that you attest that the information is true and that you're authorized to submit this report. We no longer are requiring you to type in that password to submit that quarterly report, just to hopefully help save you some time, but you are stating that you are authorized to be able to do that on behalf of the client. Then you can just go ahead and click submit. This confirmation page is very similar to what you're used to seeing now. It's going to automatically tell you the tax due from the quarterly report that was just submitted. It will give you any penalty and interest if there are any. I know most of you don't see that because you're always on time, but if for some reason a client didn't get the information to you until later, you would see that information figured into the payment amount. It will show any credits on the account. So if there is a credit on the account, it's going to calculate that in as well. And then it's going to give you the expected quarter balance. So whatever is left over is the amount that should be made for the payment. We have the same options on this screen or this confirmation page that we've had in the past. You can make a payment. You can print a voucher from here. You can print a copy of the submitted report. You can go ahead and print the confirmation page, or you can return to the main screen. I'm going to go ahead and just make a payment from this screen so that I can go ahead and show you the payment functionality, and that's just going to automatically take me over to the payment screen. When you do that, it does automatically bring over your payment amount according to whatever the existing payment balance that was due is on that confirmation page. We do have two types of payment methods. We have ACH debit, which I know a lot of you are using. I know some of you also do use ACH credit to make those payments instead of making them on eServices, and we do still accept that method of payment. Or you can actually make a credit or a debit card payment for your client. I know probably a lot of you are not making credit or debit card payments, so I'm not going to cover that in great detail. However, it is available, so if your client does give that information to you, you can certainly make a credit or a debit card payment, or if they want to go out there and make a credit or debit card payment on their own, they can certainly go out there and do that. There is a fee that's associated with that credit or debit card. We do use a third-party vendor for those card payments, and so they do charge a fee on that, and that fee is estimated in our estimated field. You're able to bring that payment amount in, and it will estimate how much the fee will be. We don't receive any of that fee, so we receive just the payment only for the amount of tax that you want to pay. And then that fee does go to our third-party vendor for providing that software. If you have an employee or a client that currently has an ACH debit block on their account, that ACH debit block is staying the same, so they do not have to update that for you to continue to make ACH debit payments for them. So that information is the same. You just go ahead and click next, and then you're going to go ahead and choose whether you want to make that bank account payment or that credit or debit card payment. I'm just going to choose bank account. I'm going to click next, and that's going to take me to this payment screen. It's going to have you confirm the amount of the payment, so I'm just going to type that in. You're going to go ahead and choose the payment date. I'm going to use today's date, but you can still post date that payment up to 90 days in the future. So if you want to submit your payment or your report today, but you don't want that payment coming out until the end of October, then you can still go ahead and do that. I should say with one caveat currently, we won't be accepting payments scheduled past the end of this month, so past September 27th, until after we go live October 2nd. And then you can predate or post-date all of those payments that you want to. Part of that is just to make sure that we don't have any payments that are out there scheduled that will have any issues when we go live with the new system. Now on here, there is the routing number field. Because this is our test website, I want to let you know that this populate routing number is not available in production. It is literally just a testing tool that we use simply to be able to populate a valid routing number so that we don't have to go and look one up every time when we're doing our testing, but this will not be available. So you will need to go ahead and type the routing number for any of your clients in there. Then it's going to go ahead and ask you for the account number, and it's going to go ahead and have you retype that account number. It'll have you choose whether it's checking or saving. Now, if I had a bank account that was already saved out here for a client, as soon as I clicked into ACH debit, that financial information here for that saved bank account will automatically populate for you. If you don't have that information, that's when you'll need to enter it. And if you'd like to save it for the future use, for the next quarter when you come in and make a payment, you can click yes. And that's going to save this information for the next time that you make a payment. And you can change the name on this if you'd like to. So you can name this bank account whatever you'd like it to be. Then you're going to go ahead and click next. This is going to give you a summary of the payment just like we've had in the past, where it's going to tell you the payment amount, the date, the bank that it's coming out of, and the last four digits of the bank account number. And then once we fully submit this payment, it's going to give us our full confirmation page, which is more of what, the same thing as what we're seeing now, where it just gives you a little bit more detail, what quarter the payment is directed to, the UI account name and the number, as well as the payment details there. One new feature that is coming across is we have in the past had numerous customers who would like to be able to have a confirmation email sent for any of those quarterly payments that have been made. So as soon as that quarterly payment is submitted, you will receive an email confirmation, and you can pass that on to the client. You can, delete that if you don't need it. You can print it for your records. You can do whatever you need to do with that email when it comes over. I'm going to go ahead and click return on this, and this is going to take me back to my main client springboard. A few of the other things that I wanted to touch base on is, like I said, there's many ways to get to different areas of UIE services, just like there is now, but there is this manage reports link. This manage reports link is going to allow you to view or amend the report, and that process is the same as it is today. You can view the submission that you already just submitted. You can file a new report from here. You can view and print reports from here. If for some reason, let's say you are a third party and you file your bulk file via ISESA through eServices, you do have access to each of your clients though, so you'd like to come out here and be able to see those quarterly reports and make sure they're posted. After that overnight process, if those reports have been posted, you'd also be able to see those out here under this reports maintenance tab. I know that a lot of you don't necessarily submit benefit requests for information for your clients. So I'm not going to go super in depth. We're hoping that we will have some videos and things available for any of you to kind of help walk you through that process. But it is a little bit new, just like Karina was talking about. We still have the option for responding to sides requests, which is the federal system that you log in through our system, and it goes ahead and takes you over to the federal e-response website to be able to respond to those requests. You submit those, and then the feds will send that information over to Montana UI. The new process that is available is we now have an internal fact-finding functionality within UIE services so that you can answer that if you'd like to, instead of responding to the side's requests. I'm just going to go ahead and click in here so that you can kind of see what one of those requests is going to look like a little bit. Basically, if you're signed up for sides, there will be one of these requests for information pushed at the same time. So you will see both of those out there. We do ask that you just respond to one or the other and not both. So you don't have to go out there and respond to both of them. You just have to either do one or the other. And the option is yours as how you would like to go about responding to those. The way that we notify customers that there is a response out here that needs to be filed is a little bit different as well. So any of your clients that you have benefit access for, so if you have tax and benefits or you have benefits only access to your client, everyone who has benefits access for a client, once there is a request out there, will be sent an email letting them know that there's something out there to respond to. So we no longer have sides contacts. It's basically just anyone who has weblog on who has that access type, meaning that you could possibly go out there and respond to a request, is going to get one of those emails just letting you know. If you're a person that doesn't normally have to respond to those, then you can just disregard that email. But if you're somebody who is responding to that, we just want to make sure that we get a hold of someone and that someone does come out here and respond, since there is such a quick turnaround time to these. We're very hopeful that this internal fact-finding process will just be a little more accurate, a little more geared towards Montana. The sides information really is designed for all of the states in the United States, because it is used by, I think almost all of the states, and it is designed by the feds just to kind of cover all of the bases for all of those states. So we're hoping that, depending on the type of exchange, that this will be a little more user friendly, or if you're filling out an earnings verification, I know sometimes that can cause a little heartburn, the way that they have that set up in the sites request. So, it could possibly be that the way they have this laid out for the internal fact finding might be just a little more user friendly, or a little bit easier to respond to electronically. So I just wanted to let you know that that is out here. Now, if you want to respond to sides, which again, it is completely 100% your choice, if you click on this View All Account Services, one of the panels here is this employer information, and you can click this View Sides Requests out here. And this list looks exactly like the one that you're basically using now. To get out to the Federal eResponse website, you would just click your Respond link. That's going to go ahead and take you out to that eResponse website, and you'll be able to complete that response just like you have in the past. One thing I wanted to mention is that we still have the same exchanges on eServices that we have now. So monetary and potential charging, the separations, earnings verifications, decisions and determinations, and additional fact finding. Those exchanges are also available in that internal fact finding as well. So all of that information should be available for you, regardless of how you would like to be able to see it. This employer information panel really does mimic this employer information panel here on your summary. So to find the quarterly rates, which I know is always very important for TPAs to know what their clients' rates are each year, you can go ahead and click on that tax rates. Again, a couple of places that you can get to that information, but it will show it for you there. You can also click this View More Employers Details, and this will also show you the tax rates here. If you have benefit access, you'll be able to see any benefit charges that are related to that particular client. It will show you if there's been any determinations, you'll be able to review those. And then there also is some appeals for benefits out here as well. So just a little more functionality for those folks that do respond to benefit requests for their client. Again, if you have any questions about that, please feel free to go ahead and pop that in the chat, or we'll answer those questions at the end of the presentation. A few other things that I did want to show you out here was how to view and send web messages. You can get to that from the View Employee Services, because there are a lot of other requests that are out here depending on the access that you have to your client's account. So you might be able to request abatements or refunds and activate a UI account, set a method of payment. Here again, you can review the rates and charges, view sides requests. You can manage your reports or make a payment. You can print a payment voucher. You can manage payments, which means that you would be able to see the payments that have been made for this customer. whether it was by check or ACH debit or ACH credit. Once those payments are processed, they are pushing some of that information out here for you to be able to see that, as well as any of our agency resources, which are really just those additional links that we have on the homepage to take you out there for helpful information that should hopefully help you. Sorry, that was really fast, but I know that there's just a couple other things that I wanted to cover, and I want to make sure that I do leave enough time for questions. So the final thing that I'm going to show you here, well, I guess there's a couple little things, is this view and send messages. I don't know how many of you have sent web messages in the past to us, but they are a higher priority in our workload, and we do try to get those answered daily. So when you send a web message, it is secure email, so you can put sensitive data in that information. So if you do have an attachment that in the past you may have faxed, and it's not something like an authorization form because you don't need a client that's attached to your web logon, you can attach that information to a web message and send that to us. Or, if there's an issue with a social security number or clarification on something like that, it is secure to be able to send these web messages to us with that data in there, unlike regular email, because this email literally goes from the system to our system. So that information is not going to be compromised. And like I said, they are a higher priority, so we do try to respond back to those the same day if at all possible, so that you have that response for whatever question or information that you sent to us. Most of you have probably used web-based emails anymore on any of the websites that you probably log into. And of course, the functionality is basically just like any other email that you've used in the past. You have an inbox, you have your outbox for any sent items. You can archive items, and then you can search through any of those items if you're looking for something specifically. So in the inbox here, you can see that we did receive an email about our payment request because it sent the email, and it also sent that information as a web message to us. And so you can go ahead and click and read that information. You can go ahead and click archive if you'd like to go ahead and archive that information, and that will show up on your archive tab if you don't want it to be showing in your inbox anymore. And then, like I said, you have your search, so that's going to show any of the web messages out there. I'm going to go ahead up here and you just click send a message to send us one of these web messages. We do have two categories. We have UI benefit claims and claimants, and then we do have UI tax account. If you click into the UI benefits, there are just a few message types that are a little bit more benefit related. And part of the reason that we do have these split up is those web messages, when they come in, depending on the category that is chosen, will go to particular groups that are more experts on how to answer those questions. So it isn't the end of the world if you accidentally pick the wrong category, if you're not sure exactly which category your question falls into. But if you're pretty close to picking that right category, most of the time that means it's going to be closer or quicker, because it's going to be getting to the person who is going to have the expertise to answer that question efficiently and quickly and get that response back to you. And then we have our UI tax account options. So there's quite a few options here. For this, I'm just going to go ahead and click payment question. It does require you to put subject in here. For this, I'm just going to go ahead and put test. It does require that you put a message in there, and that can be as long as you need it to be. And then, like I was saying, these web messages do allow you to add an attachment. So there's a lot of different file types that we do accept. We can accept PDFs, Word documents, Excel spreadsheets, a lot of different things like that. And so you'll just put a description in there if you want to add an attachment. You'll choose your file out of the information that you've sent in. You'll go ahead and say okay, and then it's just going to attach this to this web message just like it does for like the authorization form and the bulk filing. It's out there, and you have the option to delete if you accidentally have put the incorrect attachment on there. Then what you can do is just go ahead and click submit. That's just going to give you a really generic confirmation letting you know that the message was sent. And now if we look in our outbox, you can see that that email has come through. And then once that respond is sent over, it will be in that inbox for you to be able to read or to respond to. And it does work just like email, so you can go back and forth with that. The final thing that I did want to show you today is something that I, honestly don't know how many people this will affect or if it will affect you in particular, but it is some new functionality within our upgrade, and so it could possibly have an effect on you, and so that's why I wanted to point this out. For any of your clients, third-party administrators do not have access to change the way they are receiving correspondence from us, but we now do have what we call a Go Green option. And that is available for the client. So the client can call us or they can create their own web logons. And if they want to, they do have access to be able to change this mail delivery to electronic. And then they would get notified by email, or you would get notified by email that there is new documentation out there, new letters out there for you to read, whatever those letters may be. We'll be publishing quite a few out there for folks who do choose this as an option. This also gives you the option to cancel your access to this particular account here as well, as on your Manage My Profile. So that also gives you the choice that when you are in your own summary, that client is no longer on here. And I did take off the 2 clients that I had. So now it's only showing the information for your business without having any clients attached. Just going to take a real quick look at my agenda to see if I did forget anything. I believe that I did cover the main points. Again, we are recording this session. We will be posting that on our website. We will have a few other videos that are available come the weekend of Go Live, which is that first week in October. We will have a new authorization form. So please, if you have questions that you would now like to have answered verbally, please go ahead and raise your hand and we can go ahead and
Thanks,
let you
April.
speak.
Thanks, April. It looks like that maybe T. Rotifer has one. I just made it. You'll have to unmute yourself, but then you should be able to talk and ask your question.
I'm sorry, I don't have a question, so I don't know why my hand is up.
Oh, it's okay. No worries.
Other than great job. This has been a great resource to have. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else have any questions? This last slide is the information that I was letting you know about our website address, which is still the same, our email address, which is the same, our phone number, which is remaining the same, and then the Okta contact information for them, which I know is also all over their website. So they do have some password reset options for you to do that yourself, or if you really run into a hard time, you can give them a call as well. Does anyone else have any questions?
Okay, it looks like April, we do have someone that's I'm not gonna get the M guard. I'm gonna allow you to talk and you'll need to unmute yourself now and you can ask your question.
Good afternoon. First, thank you so much for the presentation. And second, I am little confused about how it will work between Okta and the e-service when we are as a payroll company has multiple members using the e-service to serve our clients. Every one of us has to have his own login, and all of us will be connected to the e-service, correct?
Yes, that is correct. How it works is even as a payroll firm, you still have a customer record in our system, and whether you have employees that actually work in the state of Montana, or if you were, I'm not sure which TPA that you're with, but if you are an out-of-state TPA with no employees in Montana, either way you have a customer record in our system. So the logons are then attached to that customer record. So each member of your agency that needs to have a logon creates a logon that gets attached to that customer record in our system. So which business are you with?
A Connect Pay.
Okay, so Connect Pay has a customer record in our system, and
Correct.
all of your employees connect to that customer record. And then from there, we attach then the clients to each of the individual logons. So it is that that, you know, they all have their own separate logon into the system, and then we connect the clients to each of those logons. Does that help?
Yes, thank you
Okay.
so much. Thank you.
I don't see any other hands raised, so I just want to take a minute to thank you all again for joining us. And all of the contact information for us and for April and Katie and everybody is here on the screen, and feel free to reach out. There'll probably be a few more emails that come out between now and the time that we go live on October 2nd. But we hope that you'll be as excited about our changes as we are. And please feel free to reach out when you have questions.